Hey guys, Brent Hull back in Dallas over at Highland Park for the Dilbeck restoration. Come join me. Okay, so we're in Highland Park. This is an amazing Dilbeck. Found out, I think I said last time, that this was kind of one of Dilbeck's early Texas ranch styles. And what that means is we've got that kind of Spanish ranch look, okay? So we've got a European Texas ranch, right? Because you see the French windows up top. There's this low slung nature to this thing. So it's a really unique form. Remember, other Dilbecks tend to be that French Norman, kind of the rustic France look, okay? Well, we're gonna see some of that and some of these unique details. In fact, I talked to Willis Winter, who's the Dilbeck expert. He's got a book coming out early next year. This is an important house. And I asked him specifically about things like this. There's a lion and a fleur-de-lis, a sculptural thing in here. And kind of what he was saying was like, yeah, that's kind of the fun thing that you get with Dilbeck, where he's mixing all of these different things. This is an eclectic style. This is not this perfect form, perfect unity and everything in symmetry. Look at this detail. Look at this beam that he's got going over top of this car drive-through. Look on one side, it kind of is what, 2.5 feet kicking that way. That way it's 5.5 feet. See that? So there is a kind of an offset nature to this thing that's kind of typical of those Dilbecks. That's kind of a fun feature. This is layering, and I tell our guys when we're building new old houses, or building new houses that have that old thing, I want layering, because I didn't really notice this beam structure until I'd been here 5 or 6 times. Then you see it and you go, oh, that's kind of a fun detail. And look how he's carved out. You know, you got this main beam, but they've carved out and notched out, even with the adze marks and the hewing and everything else that goes into this. All of these pieces, right? This kind of tree trunk beam that goes through here is very rustic, is very early Texan. And so anyway, there's 6 or 8 things, and I'm still in the porte-cochere as far as cool details that we can look at. So let's go inside, show you some of the things we're doing. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so we're in the kitchen where a lot of stuff has happened. A lot of changes have been made in here. These new kitchen cabinets are going to come in next week. I want to point out what's down here, and I think we pointed this out last week, but we dug about another 2 or 3 feet out of this thing so we could hang a unit horizontally underneath there. And the dirt piled up back there was just crazy, the amount of dirt and the amount of digging we did up into here. But because this house is so tight, you can see that my joist cavity is 11 inches, and with plaster and everything else, there's just not a lot of room to move in there. So we made space by going down. We've built this pantry. Okay, so this is the main kitchen. There's the front door. Here's the kitchen pantry as it's coming together. Remember the way this was built out. And we've got a window going in here, but the cabinets are kind of put together. This new piece is going to be coming in soon. So you're seeing us working through this. You see the Pecky cypress. We've got some new boards in here. You can check that out as far as how this thing's going to be filled with this Dilbeck character. And that Pecky cypress is all part of that. If you remember the Pecky cypress, it's this material here. It's a tongue and groove board. We've got this kind of double bead here and then another bead on this side. You can see that, you know, this is that Pecky cypress. And so the Pecky cypress ends up having, kind of see that kind of almost mossy texture in here that's really soft. You can actually, I can push my finger way down into there. These are naturally occurring kind of defects in the wood. That's the reason it's called Pecky cypress. But Dilbeck used that in most of his houses, or in a lot of his houses, as a kind of a character defining thing. Remember, we got our old mantle here. And then look what we've done back here is we have just now built the floor up and really made some big changes here. Look where the paint line is, okay? So that's where the floor was. So when I was standing here before, I was up this high, kind of looking into that header beam as it came across here. We have now lowered this, cut all of this out, and then gone back with this brick floor, which was original, right? We had that original brick floor in here, but we have pulled this through here. We've lowered this down. This backyard is much more approachable now. We had to rebuild this column, okay? Rebuild that column because there was a structural problem in here. So, you know, this wall, essentially from that corner over to here has been completely rebuilt because this corner was falling down, okay? And basically we think there was a water problem there as far as where water was, and probably over a 15 or 20 year period, this corner had fallen so low that, you know, these doors were even out of square and the windows were out of square. So anyway, this has now been built up. If you'll remember this fireplace, it had all that cut stone around it that was kind of 90s-ish. Well, we've gone back and this will be painted, all this white paint, have little niches like this. This will be a cute little kind of corner fireplace, typical of Dilbeck and the kind of way he did things. But this will all be painted, that brick will all be painted, and it really, I think you'll walk back into this space and go, wow, I'm really back in this kind of charming, really special place. So one of the things that's cool back here, and just look at the character in these doors. This house, if you'll remember, got redone about 4 times, and they're all Dilbeck. So Dilbeck was part of the remodel each of those times. This is a room that he did in the 50s, okay? It is special. I mean, look at the pillowed squares he's got on that door. Look at the leaded glass light with almost this Moorish top over at the top with the leaded glass. Look at this, okay? This is a bar, okay, that sits in here. That's why I call it the Tiki Hut. It's just kind of this funny, quirky space that I wouldn't call it especially English or French or anything. It's just eclectic, it's just different. And so we've got this amazing fireplace, which is kind of part of Dilbeck's thing, but it's sunken down. Well, we're down 2 steps down into this room, but it's also cozy and it's also kind of a fun spot to hang out in. So Dilbeck, there's no doubt about it, is almost a Hollywood set creator of creating spaces that are really special and neat. We've now restored these windows, got these doors, original hardware going in, some of the new cabinets and appliances are here. So this space is about to come together. We're getting close to the end of this project. We've maybe got another month in here. So there's just cool things in here, like this, you know, the way this timber is done in here, this faux pegging. Remember, we were talking about adzing and doing the different work here. You'll see that door surround, the timbers in here. Look at the rope molding in here. This is just, there's layers and layers of fun character defining things going on here. Let's go upstairs. So at the top of this stair, you'll notice there was a door here, and you can see where we've actually textured over this to kind of match this old texture, which is kind of a hand troweled look. It's a heavy hand troweling that's gone here, but there was a door in here. This has now become a bedroom. So there's 2 bedrooms with sharing a kind of a Jack and Jill situation. But now you walk down this hall and you're down into the master. We've hand pegged the floors just to match the old floors. We've got some cool details in here, like this molding on the door trim. It's kind of a steepled, double Gothic kind of thing looking deal. And finding the right trim here was hard because there was a few of them that mattered. The base was kind of uneventful, but this trim and this casing upstairs is really cool. So I really like the way this turned out. It's really special. Now your bedroom, closet, and then bathroom. There's some great tile going in here. We use the Schluter system on our floors, and there's a waterproofing deal. If you remember, there was a fireplace in here, okay? And a faux chimney that goes up the back side, right? And so there's some interesting things. There's a chimney on this corner, because this is the chimney that comes up from downstairs where we restored that one. So we got one here. We got a faux chimney on the outside. Remember, we saw that work in there. It was a false chimney. It was never going to be used, but you know, it's kind of one of the mysteries of what Dilbeck was thinking and how things got put together. Maybe it was something he planned, but then just didn't execute. Maybe it's something the homeowner decided they didn't want it. Who knows, but that's now hidden in the walls. So you'll notice that we've got these doors here, and this door is upside down. Yes, the door is upside down. But the reason we're doing that is because there's doors downstairs just like this. Now, whether this was a mistake, I suspect it was a Dilbeck thing where he just wanted some, you know, turning things on their head, just didn't want to do things. But this is not a mistake, in case you're watching this wondering what's going on. We've got the same condition downstairs and we were matching it. Now, in here is this cool space. This is the kind of funky fun room that goes out onto this porch. This was the opening, okay? So you used to come up the landing, land on the stairs, and there was an opening here, but this was the original opening. So we've actually gone back with that. You can see we've got this door that matches one of the doors downstairs, but this is the way this laid out originally, and so we went back with that. There's an original Dilbeck fireplace. There's a corner fireplace like we were talking before. kind of this is how it's mimicking, and this is how we're kind of pulling all this together. But great details in here. Look how wide plank these pine boards are. I mean, that board, that one's actually a double board, but this one is a full width board that's what, 16 inches across there. So really some fun wide plank things. You see wide plank floors, wide plank walls in certainly pre-industrial and early houses in America. And in Europe, you see these wide boards, and that's kind of what I love about him understanding that character and making sure we get it here. You staying out here, another fireplace. There's that corner fireplace. There's the other corner fireplace. Got another fireplace over there. Got all these fireplaces working on this thing, this eclectic nature. I'm looking at rustic beams that are holding up this awning over top of this window. We're standing on this cool outdoor porch, outdoor living area. So many fun textural things going on in this Dilbeck. Part of what makes it the magic of a Dilbeck is things like this quirky little lattice details he's got, the beams, the overhangs, all that different stuff. It's so fun to work on a Dilbeck. Hope you guys have enjoyed this Highland Park Dilbeck. We got one more coming, so kind of a wrap up as we get to the end of this thing. This is a special project. These are fun projects to be working on. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.